Hey everyone, and welcome to the Embedded System podcast in Pyjama. Today, I'm with Mohammad Bhamal and Rajat Batra, and today we are going to discuss and talk about Mohammad Bhamal's journey, and we'll start from from his primary education to how did he manage to get into Google, and let's start with that. So please introduce yourself first, maybe.
हाँ भाई पूरा नाम लेके you made this quite formal. So okay, but I think I want to keep it as informal and as lively as I can. So yeah, I think because we have done this journey for everyone, now it's my turn, and I should also be put on the roadblock, So yeah, I'll start. I think मेरा primary education. So I have been born and brought up in a town of Gujarat called Rajkot, which has become quite popular because of this new cricket stadium, which opened recently, and all the matches, were scheduled. So yeah, I think most of the people might have heard about Rajkot. So I have had my primary, higher secondary, and college, all of the education done in Rajkot itself. The primary was, well, quite uninteresting, I would say. It was in a government school. The school's name was Lal Bahadur Shastri Vidyalay. Uh, and it was like a standard school which you will see or find in any place, any place in village, any place in a small town. तो काफी uneventful था वो. Uh, I think at eighth standard, when we were introduced to this uh, kind of a hefty science textbook, right? It was a state board, by the way. It was Gujarat State Board. और तब जब we were first introduced with Newton's laws, some bit of physics, some bit of magnetism, small experiments here and there. I think I quite enjoyed that, even though we did not have any lab in the school. It's just the class teacher used to demonstrate some things from the textbook, and I kind of got gripped by it. That's where I decided, okay, science to lena hai. But then uh, I had no clear path as to what after science. I just knew 10th ke baad science hota hai. So I went and talked to my father. He's like, father, I want to take science. He's like, 10th ke marks ke baad dekhenge. So that was the answer.
And
And
how
then
far you studied in government school?
all the way, I think till my 10th, from my LKG to 10th, it was all government school. uh, तो काफी मतलब भाई चिल ही होता है वहां पे. देयर इज नो प्रेशर ऑफ लर्निंग, नथिंग, right? So eighth passed, ninth passed, we are playing mostly, learning bits and pieces here and there. Life अच्छा चल रहा है, chill. 10th comes, and I remember my promise from my father कि भाई, okay, 10th marks are important because then it will decide whether I will be in science or commerce. All right. So 10th में I did well. Well, according to my standards, well. तो उसके बाद I think the journey was laid out for me. 10th में I scored somewhere around 88%. So my father checked, went, roamed around, talked to relatives. They're like 88% means credible for science. So that's how he's like, ah, abhi tu ja sakta hai.
Nice,
Otherwise,
nice.
his plan was clear. I think his plan was clear till my college and my masters. In fact, he's like, he's not gonna, like, I am not gonna do anything. Ultimately, I'm gonna sit in his shop. Gujarat, everyone has a shop, obviously, and default your destination, if you are a boy, your destination is you're gonna take over your father's shop someday and continue. So wahi tha mera. It was simple. And somewhere I have always had this fallback कि दुकान में जाके बैठ जाना. And even till now, I am not kidding, guys. Whenever I am in any pressure, I feel like, I can be kicked out of the job anytime. Nothing is working out for me. I just have a call with my father. I just express to him, like, this can happen. Don't expect too much of me. He's like, no, koi nahi, dukaan hai, aake baith jana. You know? So that it's just a fallback, nice fallback to have, and it just is it's a very good feel good factor for me, I would say.
Right.
So
And
I
one
remember
thing
seeing a
here,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing a TV series called Jamna Par.
Okay.
So there, the guy he used to be a coaching institute owner, and his son obviously was doing CA as well, and he was
Hmm.
coaching institute owner of CA, and he makes a dialogue कि मैं इसको मालिक बनाना चाह रहा हूँ और इसको नौकर बनना है. When he says that he wants to
Yeah,
work as a CA in a
yeah.
corporate.
Yeah. So maybe if you stayed back, you
Mhm.
would have been a Malik of a
Shop,
big shop.
shop.
Yeah.
Not a big shop, but a shop.
Yeah.
भाई वहाँ का सीन बहुत मस्त है. Gujarat, especially Rajkot, I would say the scene is pretty decent in terms of work-life balance. You go at around 10. My father never, he goes to the shop at 10, never opens up the shutter. Why? Because he waits for the first tea. So he will just sit there, talk to people, wait for the first tea to come. Once he drinks that small cup, only after that he's like, oh, abhi maza aayega, chalo dukan kholte hain. वैसा
Right.
सीन. So
Right.
11 o'clock that happens. 2 o'clock you go back, have lunch, have a nap, 3 to 4, something. If
Uh,
uh, if you go, to the streets of Gujarat, 3 to 4, you won't see many shops open because people are taking nap. Okay. 3 to 4 you go have a nap. 4 you come back, थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर बातें की. 6 o'clock they have evening snacks. All of the nearby shop owners meet at place, designated place होता है उनका, एक बंदे का दुकान जिसमें जगह है बैठने का, वहां पे सब मिलते हैं, चाय पानी, नाश्ता वाश्ता. 8 o'clock you shut the shop, close the doors, go back home. So very very sad scene, very calm.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty chill life. Like
pretty chill life. Yeah,
nobody thinks about okay, what's going to happen after let's say 1 year or
right.
something, right? They
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like okay, uh,
They live in the moment. They
moment.
live in the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah,
Yeah. World
and
Cups are big things over there. It's
right,
living in the moment. Olympics, people follow it. वैसा
mm,
बहुत chill scene है वहाँ.
right,
And
and
somewhere, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna wrap up. I think somewhere my father kind of had decided that this plan is laid out for me if nothing happens. And he did not really believe me कि मैं कहीं और कुछ और करेगा. It was like, yeah, थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ लिया, ये कर लिया. Ultimately he's gonna sit in the shop. So we have this shop of small shop around 150 square feet types
Mm,
in a old bazaar of Rajkot, ठीक है, which
mm,
used to be very prominent. So that bazaar is famous for marriage shopping.
mm,
कि यहाँ पे you would find all the shops which sell stuff for marriage. कोई
mm,
पूजा पाका, कोई something for vessels where
mm,
people used to give their child, right, and
right,
as a present in marriage. So the theme of that bazaar is that, and we sell luggage. So luggage भी marriage में देते हैं. So
mm,
that's what we sell. And one of the images I always have had is I so there are like two stages. एक जो लकड़े का ऊपर छत्ता होता है जहाँ पे हम स्टोर करते हैं, राइट, सामान, दुकान में वैसा है. So
छोटू
there is
पकड़ा
always a guy who is sitting there, right, and someone from the ground floor demands, hey, 6 नंबर का जूता दे, तो छोटू फेंकता है. So it's gonna be like that for me, like, hey, 22 का सूटकेस दे ये कलर का, तो मैं वहां से निकाल के फेंकेगा.
right.
So that was the scene for me. It was laid down
so
right away. हाँ,
so your potential name can also be Mohammed Bagwala.
bag one. Yes.
Right. I think in
हाँ,
Rajasthan, like in even in Gujarat, right? The surnames are decided by what
Wala
you do, right?
Wala,
professions.
What, yeah,
Wala.
Yes.
professions, yeah.
Yeah.
So someone is into the woodcutter is like lakdi wala or something, right?
My fiance's surname is Lakadawal because
Yeah,
they used to sell
right,
lakadas long back.
right,
तो वहां
yeah,
से वो चले आते हैं.
right.
So it's all walas there. Yeah, and I would have been
Man,
bag
man,
wala.
this
Yes.
is a nice way to tell also tell the people that hey, I have a business, around this. If you need, let me know, right? So this
Oh,
is also an
I
advertisement,
I'm not sure if it was done for that purpose around several years
right?
back. I think it was more for racism
Yeah, yeah.
and casteism.
Yeah, so maybe, yeah, fair. I think
Yeah,
it used to tell, what, fair. It's a murky area. We should not go there.
Yes.
But I don't know the origins of that. But yeah, it's very prominent. You will see Valas, the Vala surname from Gujarat and Rajasthan, Marwad region, right? It's
right,
very
yeah.
famous.
And one thing that you mentioned was that you got 88% in 10th class,
Yes.
and so in my 10th class I scored also something similar,
Mhm.
but that mark sheet is always used for your date of birth verification. It
Yes.
was never used for any other purpose. Like nobody checks it.
Huh.
Like people say that okay, you have to score very high, but it's just
Mhm.
like a address proof and then date of birth proof, right?
Right,
It's
right, right.
nothing more than
I
that,
think we have been lied to, man. I would
right?
say we have been lied to in every phase of life. So during 10th, people used to, I literally remember everyone who used to visit our home, they would ask, hey, beta kya kar raha hai? 10th mein hai, how is it preparing? people used to leave this message that guys, this is the most crucial year of your life, यहाँ पे कर लिया फिर मजे ही मजे, right? That happened with me. 10th के बाद कुछ मजे नहीं थे भाई साइंस में, it was more churning. Then people used to say ये 2 साल कर लो मजे ही मजे कॉलेज.
Yes,
Nothing
we
like
have
that.
been lied
Yes, we have been
multiple
like that.
places.
Yes.
Yeah.
फिर लास्ट में क्या हुआ, इंटरव्यूज के टाइम पे, प्रिपरेशन के टाइम में, पीपल यूज्ड टू से गाइस ये क्लियर कर लो, दिस इज द लास्ट स्टेज, once you are on that side, maze hi maze. It will never be maze hi maze. Life is never like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So that, I think that's a very stark learning, which we don't realize when we are living those moments. We tend to believe elders, but then yeah, we should. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like that.
Right. And was there any moment where you thought, okay, let's take the science or the mathematics rather than
Mhm.
choosing some another, totally different background?
I would say, bhai, I really got hooked. So yeah, at this moment I want to, and given that we would be like playing the role of parents in near future, in maybe 3 years, 4 years. I think one of the things which really paved my way for science was my mom. And she that was initially in my LKG and first standard. So what used to happen was I was quite inquisitive about things. I used to ask the whys mostly, like ऐसा क्यों है, वैसा क्यों है? What is the meaning of this? My mom never had a solid background in English, तो उनको नहीं पता रहता था. But what she used to do was she used to mark each and every question I ask, or each and every word she needs to find meaning of. And then she used to find kids and neighbors who are bigger, older than me, who have gone and studied those standards. And after that, she used to diligently get those answers back to me and say, beta, you had asked me this is the answer. So that really solidified my understanding. And I think a lot of credit goes to her. And initial pathway she did a lot, so that
Hmm.
I am set with the reasons, not just some random info, right? So एक होता है
Right.
information, एक होता है knowledge. I think
Right.
I was put on the path of knowledge by my mom.
Hmm.
She encouraged me asking questions. She tried to find answers for, if she could not herself, then she used to nudge, ask people around, get the answers. उस point पे I would want to give a lot of credit to my mom there.
Hmm.
And at 8th, it all started to pay off. Like 8th, I remember, was a higher secondary, right? Primary के बाद high school. तो वहाँ पे the curriculum started to be more towards science. Science and math played an important role, and my understanding was, I could see, was much clearer because of the initial homework which my mom made me do, right? उसके बाद it kind of felt naturally to me. The science came naturally, science and math came naturally to me, and I had decided भाई कि science ही लेना है. But then I had a deal struck with my father. 10th marks, only then he would allow me. So that's where I focused more on time. So 10th gets cleared. My father has no concerns because of good marks, and now I'm in a science school. So science school, my father, took a loan because it was a prominent school in Rajkot, Modi school. It still is the most prominent one. So fees कुछ ज़्यादा थी. So I was put there. My marks were not that high कि मुझे scholarship मिल जाए. They were decent, could get admission, but not scholarship on it. So I was, we had to pay fees and all. So 11th and 12th, midway, I get to realize that there is something called IITs, AIEEEs. You have to clear that. I'm like, oh, ये तो किसी ने बोला भी नहीं. It's news to me. So then I start to learn about that, but nothing happens. I didn't join any coaching or anything because of money constraints. So मैं खुद से कुछ preparation करने का try कर रहा हूँ. But the thing, I think, which really dragged me down was my inability to work on subjects which I did not like. So chemistry, I did not have any interest in that, so I could not work on that,
Hmm.
and that dragged me down ultimately when the results came. So 12th has gone by. I have not done well in AIEEE IIT as I expected. State board में ठीक ठाक थे, मतलब ठीक ठाक मतलब अच्छे ही बोलूँगा I would say. Where I could get admission in local colleges within Gujarat.
Hmm.
Okay. I think भाई ये थोड़ा कट कर देना, बैकग्राउंड नॉइज आ गया था बीच में. तो
You can repeat.
हाँ, So timestamp is 1640 if you want to note. So yeah, I'll repeat. So after 12th, I had scored ठीक ठाक marks where I could get in good colleges in Gujarat, but not out of state. Like I could not get out of state. So I pleaded with my father, saying, "Hey, there are good government colleges in Ahmedabad and in northern Gujarat region. Let me go there." So my father was mulling over the decision. He's like, ठीक है, let me think. Then he got to know from someone that बच्चे बिगड़ जाते हैं, वहाँ पे दारू मिलता है. So one of the incidents I recall is my father was talking to someone. Even I was there. We had gone to some market or something. My father is genuinely asking, "Hey, my son is asking to go to Ahmedabad, and there is a place called Vallabh Vidyanagar, which is like full of colleges in Gujarat. It's a if it has a lot of colleges. So Vallabh Vidyanagar is famous for the student community basically. So someone told my father that वहाँ पे चाय मिलती है, but then if they have a special sign, if you do this, then they provide you with uh, all of the illegal things. You understand, right? I don't want to name it, daru and all of it. My father is like, nahi nahi, beta हाथ से जाएगा. He's like, from that moment on, he said, you are gonna study in Rajkot, otherwise कहाँ आना है? दुकान. नहीं तो दुकान में बैठ. So it has always been like that for me. So okay, I knew कि अभी कुछ नहीं हो सकता. I have to study within Rajkot. So I found the top college in Rajkot, got admitted there. And the college name at that time was topmost, I would say. Now the current scene I don't know. VVP College, VVP Engineering College was the name, affiliated to the Gujarat University. तो वहाँ पे 4 साल तो भाई genuinely uneventful. Like in the sense I learned a lot, but then because I was a day scholar, somewhere I felt I could not enjoy my college life. uh, Go to it, it felt more like school. For day scholars, I think all of you who are day scholars can maybe relate to me. You go to college, you have your classes, do something, and then come back to home. So that was my life. uh, I think I performed well in college, did really well. तो college के बाद my life at that point seemed like some job in Ahmedabad. You know, uh, 30,000 seemed like huge deal to me, man. Like 30K a month. It felt so like it felt like a dream back then. 30K kamaega, something like that. I still remember, I was in my seventh semester. A lot of companies were about to come, well, local companies, and TCS had like done a mass campus drive. I had applied, man. I had applied very enthusiastically. TCS, they had like 6-page questionnaire. They ask you everything, every damn thing. 10th का question paper upload करो, पापा की जन्म कुंडली upload करो, every damn thing. Some of that was exaggeration, but okay, ऐसे था. They didn't even call me, man. Like पूरा, I still am hurt. It's like अरे इतना कुछ कराने के बाद एक call.
Man, they took so much information and then disappeared.
Yeah. They disappeared. Yeah, they never called me. So they still might have my data. I was like, यार TCS में हो गया तो life set. Seriously, that was my mode, man. I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely not kidding, because you tend to have dreams based on your surroundings, right? कि आप बाकी लोगों को देखते हो, what your seniors have achieved, what all is possible. You sort of constrain yourself in that environment, and that is something which I did, and I would recommend folks to not do. Just believe in yourself. मैंने गलती की, you should not do that. Just have confidence. If you feel you are good at something, pursue that. Don't think of short term. I know I can say right now sitting here जो भी है, but at that point I think I should have just not really thought too much about job and everything. Short term नहीं सोचना चाहिए था. Just focus on the skills you have, grow it, and at some point in time you are gonna get your payback, your reward. That's guaranteed. So keep working, guys. Keep working.
I
So
remember we used to have, like, we used to call it mass placement in VIT.
yes.
Like some record used to happen, 1,800 students selected
Yeah.
by Accenture or TCS. So we used to make fun of it. So at the end of it, they will the big these four giants will select who gets selected for what.
Hmm.
And we used to make fun how they will select, and they will we used to like have an internal joke at VIT. We used to say that they will have a box with the name of person, and somebody from Accenture, TCS, Wipro, and will sit and put out the slip on that. Ye mera, ye mera, ye mera, ye mera.
Yeah,
That's how
man.
they decide whom to
Yeah.
offer out.
Home talk. It's
Because
it's in.
the questions that they ask makes absolute no sense. Like I remember, हमारे time पे it was group discussion
Hmm.
with the topic, if you can be a superhero, who would you be? No relevance at all.
Wow. Wow. So I think in even in your case, this would have been the pattern. So हमारे case में तो ऐसा होता था कि they used to, like, one company used to invite students from all the colleges in the city, right? So there would be a mass gathering of 500, 600 plus students, all sitting in a hall, giant auditorium, right? And they used to like distribute this aptitude test papers as a first round of filtering. तो एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट होगा, उसमें आई ऑलवेज यूज टू स्कोर बिकॉज
Litmus.
लिटमस टेस्ट. हाँ, तो मेरा तो वो अच्छा रहता था, बट आई हैव सीन माय फ्रेंड्स हु वर सुपर गुड, sometimes struggle with it now, because not everyone is good at aptitude, and they don't need to be. Like, the job you are going to be working on doesn't require you to be good at aptitude skills. नदी इस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है, there is a current in this direction, what direction will the boat move, at what speed, and all of those questions, right? So, and that would be the first level of filtering, and then there would be another level which would be GD, especially what Rajat mentioned. They used to give all of these crazy topics, like मेरे केस में I think net neutrality पे दिया था. At that time it was a very hot topic, 2016, where net neutrality basically, if you should be charged based on the date, like what links you consume, कुछ वैसे ही था, if I remember right. uh, like, can ISPs charge on uh, the links you visit, basically? I'm completely forgetting what it was, but there the GD tends to filter out people who are extrovert, who can speak their mind out. Now what about the people who are, who can't, basically, who have a lot to say, but then they have naturally cannot speak a lot more, so उनके लिए वो detrimental होता, तो वैसे था. And then you would have interviews, grueling interviews, man, 2-3 rounds, and ultimately you would end up getting paid like 17K a month, 20K a month. That was the scene back then, but it felt, I mean, वो भी अच्छा लगता था यार, 17K कमाएगा.
And if that number was in let's say in your hometown, that then it would have been okay, because then you are working from
Hmm.
home, or maybe you are staying
Fair,
with your
fair.
parents, right? But what if you are moving to, let's say, city like Hyderabad or
Yeah,
Mumbai
yeah,
or Bangalore, right? Here
right.
that number is too low
Too
for.
low. Yeah, yeah, agreed, agreed. And I guess by the numbers which I'm quoting here are like 6-year-old numbers, right? 6 to 8 years. Sorry, 2016 time frame given.
Interestingly, they haven't increased
Yeah,
the.
it has not increased. Apparently, it's still the same. What it
Still the
was
same.
around. What number you are quoting? You are still quoting from 6-7 years. I remember these were the same numbers when I started in placement, which was 9 years back.
Wow.
So apparently, they have not.
They don't change. Yeah.
Inflation doesn't exist for them.
Hmm. Yeah, sad reality.
Yeah, see,
So.
even with these numbers, see, ultimately what happens is you will start working, and apparently you will be working very hard at TCS, etc. And at some point, your father will say, 30,000 के लिए क्यों जाता है भाई दुकान पे रह."
Maybe might have happened, man. I think
So that's
it.
the disadvantage of working in the same city.
I would give you a hint. Like, the numbers which I'm quoting about by were not in Rajkot; they were in Ahmedabad. Like, the companies were from Ahmedabad. Even TCS was in Gandhinagar, and all of that. But I think the cost of living there is much lower compared to the metro cities here, Hyderabad, Bangalore. Right? You can find a decent home, within 7-8K a month, or फिर खाना भी, the I would say the overall cost of living is definitely much lower. So that is one. And to add to your point, Rajat, my father did mention to me at once. So I got one job somewhere. I don't recall the company name. 17K a month katwa. That was in Ahmedabad, and then it was in PHP, I guess. Yeah, Web 3. Sorry, Web 2 PHP. you write, the server side code. uh, and man, before I had gotten a job, I'm like, man, I need a job, I need a job. But एक बार मिल गया, फिर उसके बाद मैंने, you start mulling over it. You start asking yourself questions. Do I really want to do that? The answer was no. So I dropped down a mail to those folks. I'm not considering the offer. Sorry. They wrote back to my college saying your guy has rejected the offer. What happened was I was banned from the placements. कि अभी
Yeah.
तो वो हो गया.
Yeah, that these companies do that, right? If
Yeah.
let's say you get placed in one company and then you choose another company, then
Right.
they will force the campus,
Right.
either the recruiting
Yeah.
coordinator or the the TNP cell,
TN,
right?
yeah, yeah. The info, and I could kind of get, yeah, why did they enforce this? Because
Right.
they have to make sure all of them get placed. And
Right.
if one guy is, sitting in every of these companies, then that kind of disturbs their record. So I kind of got there, no harsh feelings there. But
Right.
then once they actually banned me, now I'm like, okay, man, what I will do now?
Hmm.
It's already December, like seventh semester is, and I only have 6 more months left. And then uh, what I'm gonna do. So I very vividly remember it was November, some date, November month. I very specifically remember. So Jabbi, I wanted to have a heart-to-heart conversation. I could never have it with my father in home, and this is still the case. I cannot ever have that connect, that heart-to-heart conversation with my father when I am at home. So what I used to do was I used to go to shop. जब मुझे पता है कि there won't be much disturbance, not many customers. Around
Hmm.
3 o'clock I went there. I started with random bullshit and then I disclosed this ki papa, see, I have been banned, I don't know what will happen. You know what was the response? कोई नहीं, दुकान में बैठ.
Ha.
I'm like, man, abhi, how do I
Yeah.
how do I get this into my father's brain? Then I'm like, okay, uh, genuinely father, tell me what else can be done. So he was very upfront. He said, "Bhai, see, somewhere I put कि I can do higher studies, masters करना चाहता हूँ मैं." And I would not lie, guys. There was not much intention for me to do masters.
Hmm.
If I had gotten like good job where I would have been, happy. Like in the sense, अगर ऐसा job होता where if I had asked me the question, do I want to do this, and the answer would have been yes, I would have accepted that job offer. So, uh, and that was pretty much it. But this didn't turn out the way it did, the way I wanted it to. So there was somewhere, this ban. I asking my father, and then masters was an option thrown as a last resort. कि भाई कुछ नहीं तो masters कर लो. It started out from like that.
So let's say
Or
that there was that company who was paying, let's say, 30K per month. Would you still be okay joining that company and
yeah,
then
yeah,
okay.
yes,
So
definitely, man.
yeah, so it was
It's
somewhere like the money and then also the
yeah,
work, the
work,
interest of
money
the
and
work.
work. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Money not so much because I was not very much hurt by the 17K number, just the work. Because PHP I didn't want to do. Didn't want to see myself doing PHP uh, at that point. तो वो तो
So
होता है ना यार कि एक बार देख ले, बैठ जाते हैं, होगा तो होगा. वैसे ही मैं गया था, हो गया. And then now I'm second guessing, should I do this? The answer came no. I knee jerk moment, I wrote the mail, got banned, got myself banned, और फिर अब उसके बाद की स्टोरी हुई.
so you did your graduation in which branch? Was it like
CS, computer
yes, right?
science. Yes.
So then which of the subject you liked most and did you study
Interesting.
up apart from, let's say, the college regular studies?
I did not do much apart from the regular studies. I would not lie. What huh, one thing which I think I focused, I think I did well was pay attention to what was going on in the class. Like if I like the subject, then I would make sure that I do not miss any of the classes. And whatever is being taught, I used to ask myself the same, man, why am I spending half 1 hour of my time sitting here, right? Just because of attendance, because if it is only for attendance, then there is something wrong with the entire model. So
Right.
I used to make sure कि if I'm spending my time, I get all of the info actually, from the crux, actually thoroughly understand it. तो वो मुझे बहुत help किया. And I think the subjects which, coming back to you, man, the subjects which I really was interested in were in computer science, I would say, algo, because that kind of provided me the inquisitive thinking. कि कैसे how to approach a problem, how to divide it, in smaller chunks, how to get the answers.
Right.
That was one, and coincidentally every damn subject of other branch. Not kidding. Like I was very good at mechanical engineering branch subjects, very good at triple E. Like at least the intro, जो first year में हमें common होता है, right?
Right.
Engineering graphics, drawing wala. I used to like that, but then like man, I'm already booked for CS. I cannot do much there. So that's
Yeah. It's
so
it's like one subject from each branch.
one. Yes,
Right.
yes. And I used to like them a lot. Like cool. That's what engineering is. So here we are. At the end, I'm talking to my father. My father is like, see, if you do want, I pose this question, father, I want to do masters. Is it fine? He's like, I cannot afford the salary, and I can basically run the show, handle the expenses of home for 2 years. I give you 2 years, but I cannot pay out of my pocket. So you find a way to do something without me uh, burdening, without me supporting you basically. So then the only option left for me was to clear gate, get the scholarship, and then try to find some good colleges. So next 2 months I prepared for gate, और coincidentally or fortunately अच्छे से वो निकल गया. And at that point, I asked myself the question, कि भाई, okay, what field do I see myself going in? The answer came out to be embedded because I had done some projects here and there about embedded systems. And Rajat is going to kill me when I say this, but I started off with Arduino. मुझे एलईडी ग्लो करके बहुत मजा आया. अरे यार कुछ मेरे कोड से कुछ हो रहा है, लाइट जल
Right.
रहा है.
Right.
So from there I pursued embedded systems in Jaipur's college, NIT Jaipur, and yeah, from there I got placed into Intel. I think so. Like
Yeah.
we are
Maybe we
uh,
can wrap things now,
yeah,
and then let's cover the remaining journey in the next podcast.
next, yeah, sure, sure. In fact, I also forgot to mention how did I land into computer science. That is a story on its own. I literally threw a chits by because I could not decide for myself which branch which I want to select. I knew
So
chemical engineering nahi lunga.
okay. So didn't you have the enough information, or you just
Liked all of them.
okay? You liked
Yeah,
all of.
yeah. I'm like I could not decide which one I actually want to go. So we'll talk about it in the later podcast session. But yeah, enjoyed sharing my journey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for anyone who stayed this late.
Yeah, yeah,
And we'll see you in the next podcast with another remaining part of the discussion.
sure. Okay, folks. See you.
So,
Thank you so
bye.
much. Bye bye.